American Timelines is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Find out more at queencitypodcastnetwork.com.
So now I'm obsessed with time. Come on, tell me about the time. Had it all in my hand tonight. Had the time of my life. When the words all come down like blues on Tuesdays come down. Throw it all away. Throw it all away.
Welcome to another episode of American Timelines. I'm Amy, and that's Joe.
Yes, and we're a married couple, and we are hot and heavy.
That is right.
It's October. Well, it's not October now, but we are the podcast that bring you pop culture, murder, and history year by year, month by month. And right now, we're currently in the 50s. We're in 1951.
October of 1951.
We're going to start October of 1951 tonight, and you listeners get to come along on this journey with us. Are you ready, listeners? Are you ready?
Woohoo!
Oh, I was talking to the listeners,
Oh, okay. Sorry.
but I don't hear anybody, so that's because this is a podcast. It's not a two-way medium.
Exactly.
So we'll just move on.
Okay.
But we have a guest this week.
We do.
We have a great guest who's returning. This guest has been on American Timelines already a couple times. This is probably the guest that's been on the most, our most frequent guest, friend of the show. He's a doctor, and we're very excited to have him back. So without further ado, please welcome Dr. Zwölf Hammerstein.
Hi, Joe. How are you doing?
Oh,
I have one thing though. I have
Yeah.
to say to you. It is Dr. Zwölf. Zwölf
Oh.
Hammerstein.
Zwölf.
It means 12. Zwölf means 12 in German.
oh,
Okay.
Zwölf. Oh, well, thank you for being here, Zwölf. I'm sorry I've gotten that wrong every time.
Oh, it's not much of a problem.
Okay.
That's fine.
Well, we're glad you're here. Thanks for coming back.
Yes, it is an honor to be on your very last show ever. I'm very honored.
No, it's not our last one. Hopefully.
Oh, really?
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay. That's great. You should keep doing it. What they say, always ride a horse until he's dead. Right? Is that the American
what they
saying?
say.
I don't know
Beat
if that's
that horse.
I don't know if that's what they say.
I don't know if that's the same, but this is, I think, episode 147.
Oh.
Wow.
We've been doing this for a while now. Zwölf.
That's a lot of talking.
That's
Yeah.
a lot of bullshit.
It's a lot of bullshit. Zwölf.
Ooh, that
12.
has a lot to do with what I was going to talk about today.
Oh,
Good
Oh.
segue.
Nice.
Oh yeah, you got a little something you want to share with us before we
Oh
start?
yeah, so I have been working on this cartoon series here
Yeah.
in Germany, and it's been a big smashes of the hits, you know.
Yeah.
And I want to bring it to America.
Okay.
And here in Germany, it is called Richtig Rectum, which in English it will be translated to correctum rectum. And what it is a way of fighting the fake news.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
We got a
yeah.
lot of fake news. We got a big problem here.
So what it is it's like a train, but it's a human,
Oh.
and with a human without legs. And the face is the front, and of course the butt is the caboose, right?
Yeah, the caboose.
And that's where the correctum rectum is. And so we'll have this character called Misinformation in English,
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
And she rides the bull for the bullshit, right? And so the bull poops into the front, the lies into the front of the mouth of the train,
Okay.
and it makes lots of sounds, bing, bang, bong, boom, and it comes out the correctum rectum, and that's like, say you say, oh, Hillary Clinton eats babies,
Yeah.
right? And then it'll come out the other side and say, that is wrong. The correctum rectum will say this is a lie, right?
Oh, okay.
And then we have like the evil book face, and the book face is the internet, and it has all the fake newses on it, right? And and all the children look at the book face, and it draws them like the Pied Piper, like to the doom. And then we have our hero who jumps out of the correctum rectum, and he is Deflator Mouse. And Deflator Mouse goes up to the children and puts his mouth on theirs and sucks the lies out. It sucks the lies out.
I don't know if that's a good idea.
And we hope to market it like the elf on the shelf. It'll be the Deflator Mouse in the house, and you put him in your house. And if your children tells lies, he will suck it out of them and then leave them an empty husk.
I don't know. I'm not sure that'll sell.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very popular here in Germany.
Oh, it is. Okay. Well, so's David Hasselhoff.
Right, of course. Well, who wouldn't like Zahoff?
Well,
and we might even have a song much like your Schoolhouse Rock, like correctum rectum, what's your function? Taking in lies and spitting the truth out. Well, not spitting, but it's probably shitting the truth out.
And that's for children. This is for children?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
You think an adult is going to watch this? No.
Well, I'm glad you're bringing this to America, and I look forward to seeing what happens. But are you on board with and going through an episode with us? We talk about some history moments in 1951 and
sure, yeah.
Get your feedback on them. See how.
I've studied some of the history of. Is this United States or Germany?
It's generally American timelines, but we'll.
Right. Amerikanische timeline. Right, that's the name of the show.
Yes, yeah. But
you do what the show says.
But we'll occasionally talk about things that happen across the globe. And feel free to give your 2 cents throughout the whole thing. Anything you want to add is good.
Okay, I'm here for you.
All right. We're going to start here with October of 1951.
And I've got I just have to check.
What do you got to check?
I just wanted to see. I can't remember when mine.
Yours is October 17th.
All right.
Okay, so October 1st, I don't know if you guys know this, but the 24th Infantry Regiment, which was the last American all-black military unit, was deactivated in 1951.
Oh, wow.
They just fired them all and just says bye.
They were deactivated. It was a unit of the U.S. Army active from 1869 until 1951, and again from 1995 until 2006. Before its original dissolution in 1951, it was primarily made up of African-American soldiers. And if you've ever heard Bob Marley's song, Buffalo Soldier,
yeah,
it's about these guys. Yeah. These guys were the original Buffalo Soldiers.
Oh, wow.
Oh, right. They went and killed the Indians.
Yes. Buffalo Soldier, dreadlock Rasta, heart of America, stolen from Africa, brought to America.
Now you know all the words.
Well, I looked them up for this. Oh. Fighting on arrival, fighting for...
I used to be in a reggae band in my youth.
You did? So. You were in a German reggae band?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, what was the name of that band? If you know
we were called the Sticken Sie Zeus, was it? We were called the Jungen of Herren.
the Youngin of Herren?
Yeah, the young misters.
The young misters. All right.
Nice.
Well, this 24th Infantry Regiment that was disillusioned at this point was organized in November 1869, and it was from the 38th U.S. Colored Infantry Regiment, as they called them. Mm-hmm. And so in general, Buffalo Soldiers' duties were settling railroad disputes, building telegraph lines, repairing and building forts, and otherwise helping colonize lands violently taken from Native Americans. They were also tasked with protecting the colonized settlers from displaced Native Americans seeking to reclaim their homeland. So they did.
They protected white people.
Yeah, and they fought Native Americans all the time. So it's like these.
Oh, that was very nice of them.
It was actually kind of a terrible thing. But that video, I didn't know Bob Marley had a video for that, and it shows these soldiers.
Oh, really?
And I don't know if you know, the origin of the term buffalo soldier is theorized as given to black troops by Native Americans who thought African Americans' hair felt and looked like a buffalo's pelt. But the name was embraced by the troops, and they were also well acquainted with the buffalo's fierce bravery and fighting spirit. So they were honored to be called that.
Oh, wow.
But so it was a lot of times because the Native Americans, you got to think, they were new to African American people and white people.
Yeah.
So they started naming them that. Some people said it was because the soldiers wore buffalo pelts and they were called because of that. But there is a story.
Or maybe a few of them were from Buffalo.
Or maybe they were from Buffalo.
Always could be.
Which I don't think existed at the time yet. I'm not sure when Buffalo was incorporated. But so I have a story. There was a legend of where the first Buffalo soldier got its name. And it's from a story in September of 1867. Private John Randall of Troop G of the 10th Cavalry Regiment was assigned to escort 2 civilians on a hunting trip. The hunters suddenly became the hunted, though, when a band of 70 Cheyenne warriors swept down on them. The 2 civilians quickly fell in the initial attack, and Randall's horse was shot out from beneath him. Randall managed to scramble to safety behind a washout under the railroad tracks, where he fended off the attack with only his pistol and 17 rounds of ammunition. He's fighting 70 warriors by himself. And so he fought him off until a nearby camp arrived. He suffered a gunshot wound to his shoulder and 11 lance wounds, but he recovered. So the Cheyenne quickly spread word of this new type of soldier who had fought like a cornered buffalo, who like a buffalo had suffered wound after wound, yet had not died, and who like a buffalo had a thick and shaggy mane of hair. So that's kind of the first where they got the name Buffalo.
And then when they killed him, they used all the parts.
Pretty much.
I hope not.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's not the case. But but I fell down a rabbit hole. Zwölf, do you ever fall in rabbit holes on the internet?
You okay? Are you okay?
Yeah.
You can be quite the cagey animal.
I hurt my back.
Oh, that's sad.
But I couldn't stop searching on the buffalo soldiers. It was fascinating.
Yeah, I never thought about it.
So I've downloaded a book. I didn't know what a buffalo soldier was until I read this whole thing. A buffalo soldier. I only knew the words.
I did. And I'm German. I knew it.
You knew all about it, Zwölf?
Of course. The Buffalo Soldiers.
Well,
They are very well known in Germany.
And Germany knows more about it than us. So I got a lot of this from Wikipedia, but you know how Wikipedia cites articles? So there was this book by H. Lehman called Nine Years Among the Indians. It was written in 1927. From 1870 to 1879, this guy spent with the Native Americans and wrote this book. So I downloaded an audio version of this, and I plan on listening to it soon. But I haven't listened to it.
I thought you were going to say,
right.
and I listened to it.
Tell me another one, won't you?
This is what it said.
No, I bought it. I just haven't listened to it yet. But there was info from National Park Service, the Global
Are your eyes
Security.org.
hurt?
What?
Are your eyes hurt? Can you not read it?
Now I just I like to listen. That make me a bad person?
Well, no bad than you already are.
Oh, burn.
Oh, no, I didn't mean that. I meant it does not tip the scales either way.
You've already wrote me off, Zwölf?
No.
12?
Just continue.
All right. We're going to move on to October 2nd, 1951, a day when Audrey Cowell, a hairdresser, who had married a milkman/engineer named Ernest Matthew Sumner, gave birth to the first of 4 children at Sir G.B. Hunter Memorial Hospital in Wallsend, Northumberland, England, and decided to name him Gordon Matthew Thomas Sumner.
Okay.
He grew up.
I know it.
I know
I know
who
it.
this
Ding,
is.
ding, 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 ding.
He grew up near Walls End shipyards, which made an impression on him as a child. He was
AP
inspired.
Yes.
does this.
He was
I
inspired
know
by
it.
the Queen Mother waving at him from a Rolls Royce to divert from the shipyard prospect towards a more glamorous life. He helped his father deliver milk, and by 10, he was obsessed with an old Spanish guitar left by an emigrating friend of his father's.
And it is Bono.
Nope.
It's not Bono.
Nope.
He visited nightclubs such as Club
I
A
was
Go-Go
joking.
to see Cream and Manfred Mann, who influenced his music.
Sting.
Yes, Sting.
Right.
Sting was
Bono
born.
from the Police.
Bono from the Police. That's you too. Sorry, Zwölf. You don't know Americans. Although this isn't American. This is British. I
Right.
guess. He was born in England. But, you know,
Yeah. I don't spend too much time studying to British.
do either one of you jerks know how Sting got his name Sting, where the nickname came from?
I think it's because his wiener has got a stinger on it.
That's a good guess. Zwölf?
Yes. Maybe he is called Sting because he is so sarcastic that his words sting like a bee.
Nope. He gained his nickname after his habit of wearing a black and yellow jumper with hoop stripes with the Phoenix Jazzmen.
Oh.
Yes.
Why didn't they call him Bumblebee?
Band leader Gordon Solomon thought he looked like a bee, or according to Sting himself, they thought I looked like a wasp, which prompted the name Sting.
Well, I assure you, he is a wasp.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. In a 1985 documentary, Bring on the Night.
Good thing he wasn't wearing like an all brown outfit with like pieces of corn attached and peanuts.
Yes,
Good
they
thing he
might
wasn't-
call him.
Good thing he wasn't
shite.
wearing that.
Yeah, we have friends that dressed like that for Halloween one year as Wolf. Idiot friends of ours. They wore
Yes,
that.
I can
They
imagine.
dressed like turds. What terrible.
Yeah, because
Terrible
instead,
people.
instead of Sting,
Sound like-
somebody would have seen
They
him.
sound like cretins.
Yeah.
Anyway, according to this documentary, Sting said, "My children call me Sting. My mother calls me Sting. If somebody shouted out the name Gordon in the streets, I would just move out of your way. He wouldn't ever answer to Gordon."
All right.
So that's Sting. He was born this day. And then Wednesday.
So wait, that means he's 70? Yeah, he just turned 70s this year.
Hey, right now he's 69, and that's not
Ooh.
brought up just because he's always tantric.
yeah.
He's a tantric
Yeah,
guy.
that's.
He has a lot of sex,
Mm-hmm.
but he's
He
gonna be
has
70 this year.
inside. He has inside orgasms, as we say.
Yeah, Sting is very
That's
good.
bizarre.
Yeah, if you're gonna have sex with that guy, you got to put aside a week on your calendar.
Don't I know it?
Yeah.
Oh, Zwölf,
Say hey.
you've been sleeping with celebrities, Zwölf?
Ah, stop it. This is not the celebrity hobo show.
You are not his Oprah.
That's true.
Yeah, this is not E
True Hollywood.
Bravo.
True Hollywood
Zwölf story.
This is not the. Are you Andy Cohen?
Do you remember those? Do you remember those True Hollywood stories?
I love those.
I used
True
to
Hollywood.
love those.
You can get them on
They always-
YouTube.
They always ended up so sad.
I know it.
Yeah, it really made me upset that Facts of Life wasn't as
Yeah,
happy
for
on
once,
set.
For once, I would like to say, and the star did not do drugs or anything, and had a nice family life, and they lived to an enjoyable age.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a fun story then. All right, October 3rd,
There's
1951.
Kirk Cameron.
Kirk Cameron is doing great things. Bible man, isn't he? Bible man? Or is
Oh God, he's awful. He's.
Oh, is he taking the guy from, what was it, Charles in Charge's
that, oh,
place?
that,
Oh,
no,
and
he's
that
Bible
asshole,
man.
too.
Yeah, that guy.
Billy Ames?
And
Willie
Scott
Ames.
Baio.
Billy Ames is like a god to us.
There's Scott Baio. There's what's the
Oh yeah, all these old.
Silver Spoons? What's his name? The one
Ricky Schroeder?
Schroeder.
Oh, he's bad
Schroeder?
too.
Yeah, he bailed out Kyle Rittenhouse
Oh, jeez.
of jail. Bailed him out of jail.
I didn't realize that. All right,
Yeah.
well, let's move on through 1951. We got Wednesday. Do you like sports, Zwölf?
Oh, yeah. I like the football. You call it soccer,
Do you,
for some reason.
do you like baseball?
Oh, baseball. I don't know much about baseball. I know you hit a ball with a bat.
Well, Wednesday, October 3rd, 1951, was the shot heard round the world. One of the greatest moments in Major League Baseball history. It occurred when the New York Giants' Bobby Thompson hit a game-winning home run in the bottom of the ninth inning off of Brooklyn Dodgers pitcher Ralph Branca.
Oh, I know this. I know. You know how I know this?
No, how do you know?
Through the show MASH. They were getting the information. Charles was getting the information ahead of time, and he was betting on the game. So they got the information, and then he bet on the wrong team, and they pulled the old switcheroo. And it was with the hit that went around the world. Yeah,
Well,
the match.
It allowed the New York Giants to win the National League pennant after being down 14 games. And the New York Giants have since moved to San Francisco, Amy. So this was when they were in New York. So
this seems like something very important to be on the show.
Yeah, it was the shot heard around the world. And that same day, MGM's Technicolor musical film An American in Paris, starring Gene Kelly and Leslie Caron, premieres in New York. And it was directed by...
Yeah, that's the one with the little mouse, Jerry the Mouse.
Oh,
from Tom and Jerry.
Did you look up any dish?
No. It was directed by Vincente Minnelli.
Did you look up any dish about Gene Kelly
that's
and
Liza Minnelli's...
Gene Kelly and, like, the actors.
I didn't. It would go on to win 6 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. No, I skipped talking anything about this because, number one, I hated the movie. Number two, we talked about this movie on another podcast called Who the Fuck Is? These Scottish guys host it.
Yep.
And they made us talk about this show.
They didn't make
movie.
us.
Yeah, they did. They held us at gunpoint.
I don't know if I won an Oscar. It's just a little mouse dancing with a man.
I think you're thinking of a different movie. This is Gene Kelly.
Yeah,
His
he
pants pulled
dances
up to his
with
nipples.
a cartoon mouse.
No, the
Look it
ballet at the end, right?
Oh, does
No,
he?
he doesn't dance.
Maybe he does. I skipped the ballet part. I was really bored.
It was like 40 minutes long or
something.
something.
It was like a 40-minute ballet. You might be right.
It's Jerry from Tom and Jerry.
Really?
Yeah.
Zwölf,
you know nothing.
Zwölf, would you mind taking your shirt off?
To quote a famous Sergeant Schultz, you know nothing.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Dave Winfield was also born that day.
Oh, yeah, Yankee.
And Amy hates birthday, so I'm going to cue the birthday song, which I should have put that in for Sting. I forgot the birthday song.
Oh, well.
I'll put it in post. All right, Thursday, October 4th, more World Series. In the opening World Series game, New York Giant Monte Irvin steals home in the first inning. He stole home. That never happened.
Almost. So they had to play the rest of the game without it?
Well, now you steal a base. How can I explain base stealing to this crazy German guy who doesn't know shit?
What? Why are you insulting me?
Sorry, I lost my temper. Anyway, the 1951 World Series. Let's talk about the World Series, and then we'll get past it.
Okay.
It matched the two-time defending champion New York Yankees against the New York Giants, who had won the National League pennant in a thrilling 3-game playoff with the Brooklyn Dodgers. I just talked about the shot heard around the world. In the series, the Yankees showed some power of their own, including Gil McDougall's grand slam home run in Game 5 at the Polo Grounds. The Yankees won the series in 6 games for their 3rd straight title and 14th overall. This would be the last World Series for Joe DiMaggio, who retired afterward, and the first for rookie Willie Mays and rookie Mickey Mantle.
Oh, wow. Wait. The first World Series? It can be the first win for both of them because they're on different teams.
No, the first World Series for those guys. How about that? A World Series with Joe DiMaggio, Willie Mays, and Mickey Mantle all in the same World Series.
I'm sure if I knew who they were, I'd be very impressed.
They are legends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they discover a vaccine for polio or something?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I don't think so. Amy's just upset because she didn't order a beer from any of them. She only ordered it from Minnie Minoso.
Minnie Minoso.
But this was the last Subway Series the Giants played in. Subway Series is when two teams in the same town play each other.
Share a sandwich?
Yeah, they share a sandwich together. Both teams would meet again 11 years later after the Giants relocated to San Francisco. They've not played a World Series against each other since. And this was the first World Series announced by Bob Shepard, who was in his first year as Yankees Stadium's public address announcer. I'm going to skip the rest of that.
I have literally nothing to say about this.
Thank you, Jesus.
And that's the same day that Henrietta
No, it's Zwölf.
Lacks.
It's Zwölf.
Oh, he's not Jesus. He's Wolf.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's the same day that Henrietta Lacks died. Remember we talked about her
Yes.
with the genes and the using her cells
Her cells.
for everything. I got like a
Got something going
Mustache.
on? Got a pube in your mouth?
I got mustache hair in my mouth. I can get it out.
Whoa.
Sometimes-
What have you guys
How
been
do
doing?
you people have mustaches and beards? I just don't know.
Well, I thought you're hot for them.
I do like them, but I don't know how I wouldn't be able to do it. Like walk around. I have such a hair
Because every
fall.
once in a while, one will just outgrow the other ones and it'll go into your mouth. It's annoying.
Yeah, and also, though, if like later you want a little snack, you
Yeah.
just kind of reach into your beard,
Find
get
one.
a little crumb.
Sure.
Yeah, sometimes there's insects in there.
Chip
I
crumbs.
once had a family of 4 living in my beard.
Your beard grows
No,
into
I
your chest hair.
kid you. I'm joking.
All right. Sunday, October 7th, we got another birthday. Cue the birthday song.
Amy hates birthdays. Amy hates birthdays.
You like that birthday song?
Yeah.
Amy hates birthdays.
Oh, no.
But this one is a young man named Johnny. He was born in Seymour, Indiana.
Oh, Cougar Mellencamp.
Oh, man, you got us so quick.
God, how did you know?
Dang it.
Oh my
I had all this
God.
stuff about him. Did you know that he was born with spina bifida?
What?
I have no idea who his siblings were.
Did he really?
He was born with spina bifida, for which he had corrective surgery as an infant, and he formed his first band at the age of 14 called Crepe Soul.
Ooh, I like that.
Later, he played in local bands called Snake Pit Banana Barn and the Mason Brothers.
Wow.
These were all going to be things I was going to use to throw you off, and you weren't going to get it.
I thought spina bifida came with developmental disabilities.
Well, have you listened to a John Cougar Mellencamp song?
Come
Now,
on,
wait a
this
minute.
is a ditty about Jack and Diane.
They're sucking
They are
on
2
chili dogs.
American kids.
Sucking
doing
on a chili
the
dog.
best they
Outside
can.
the tasty freeze. Sucking
So I
on a
have
chili
a story.
dog. Yes.
I have a story of this song.
All right, Zwölf.
So when I was younger, I really, really liked this song, right?
Yeah.
And my father said I should not listen to it because he said that the boy had his hands between her knees,
Oh,
and
yes.
that was a little too sexual.
Yes.
It's too sexual for you guys in Germany.
Yeah, I was only like, 3, 12, 14, 15, maybe?
Somewhere online, somebody has taken that song and they've remixed it on I think it's on YouTube.
Where it's sucking on a chili dog.
Yeah, it's just John Mel. It's just saying, "Sucking on a chili dog, sucking on a chili dog, sucking on a chili dog, sucking on a chili dog." It's just sucking on a chili dog over and
Yeah.
over and over again. I think
Oh,
it's great.
there's some clever people out there.
There are.
A lot of
Well,
times.
I guess I won't even go into the fact that when he was 18, he married his girlfriend Priscilla Esterline and became a father in 1970, only 6 months after he graduated from high school.
Oh,
And his
wow.
daughter Michelle became a mother at 18, making him a grandfather at 37. I guess I won't even talk about that.
Well, I guess you
Wow.
could always edit
So he was
out
like a
my
teenage
answer.
dad.
He was a teenage dad,
Wow.
and he went to college at Vincennes University, a 2-year college in Vincennes, Indiana, in 1972, and he abused drugs and alcohol. And he said when he was high on pot, he said this in Rolling Stone in 1986, when I was high on pot, it affected me so drastically that when I was in college, there were times when I wouldn't get off the couch. I'd just lie there listening to Roxy music right next to the record player, so I wouldn't have to get up, flip the record over. I'd listen to this record, that record. There'd be 4 or 5 days like that in a row. I just listen to records.
Well,
Sounds-
I
that
don't
sounds
know
like
any
heaven.
more. I don't know any moron who would do pot, so I don't know why.
Yeah.
You must be a
Me
complete
neither.
idiot, as some kind of jackass
Yep. That's
to do
right.
pot.
But he's from Indiana, so then he started traveling back and forth between New York and Indiana, trying to become famous. And the name Cougar, I always wonder why he went by John Cougar. Why John Mellencamp?
Because
John
he
Cougar?
has the libido of a cat.
Yeah, wow.
Big cat.
Yeah.
Actually, a manager of DeFries Management, Tony DeFries, he was of Main Man Management, insisted that he needed a better name. He said, Mellencamp sounds like a hillbilly, so he needs to go by. And he said, I am a hillbilly. But he said, no, you got to change the name of Johnny Cougar. And he hated it. He did, and they wouldn't. He said, no, I'm not doing that. And they're like, well, then we're not doing your album. So basically, he had to change it to Cougar. So there you go.
Because, he was just John Cougar at the beginning.
Yeah, Johnny Cougar, and he hated it. But
can you all see my kitten?
Is that
Spätzle?
Maple?
oh my God, you have a cat on your head.
Is that Maple? Look.
I don't know that.
Maple.
We call him Spätzle.
Spätzle. Oh, he's pissed. That cat's pissed.
Yeah, he hears some terrible people.
Kitty,
Now-
kitty.
All right, moving on. Monday, October 15th. I Love Lucy.
Halfway there.
I Love Lucy made its
She's really thrilled about
television debut on CBS. Lucille Ball had came to Hollywood after a successful stint as a New York model, and she was chosen by Samuel Goldwyn to be one of 16 Goldwyn girls to co-star in the picture Roman Scandals with film star Eddie Cantor.
Is Ich liebe Lucy?
Lucille Ball, I Love Lucy came out, and she was so enthusiastic and hardworking. She got a reputation for her slapstick physical comedy, and then they had her do a couple other shows. She had a radio show for a while.
Platform.
But that is where Lucille Ball, after she gained her reputation in 1940, she met Desi Arnaz, a Cuban band leader who had just come off a successful run in the 1939 to 40 Broadway show Too Many Girls.
Yeah.
And RKO had bought the film rights to a show and cast Ball as Arnaz's love interest. And they ended up falling in love and had this amazing courtship, and they decided to elope in Connecticut in November of 1940. But despite their marriage, their careers kept them separated because Lucy's film work kept her anchored in Hollywood, while Desi's nightclub engagements kept him on the road.
Yeah.
So they originally pitched for her to do this comedy, this romantic comedy with another guy. And she said, no, I want to do it with my husband because they want to spend more time together. And they said, no, there's no way America would believe that you would be with a Cuban man, and that wouldn't work. And so what she did
because he is very short, right?
I always did wonder about that.
Well, and around this time, she actually dyed her hair red because of Technicolor. Like Technicolor came out, and to like make her hair pop more in the red. MGM.
But I Love Lucy was black and white, wasn't it?
Well, I think she was in Technicolor movies before that. But so what she did was she put together a show. I'm trying to find it here. It was a show called My Favorite Husband. They wanted to cast her, and she had Desi be on there. But she what is she? Let me see. To prove CBS wrong that nobody would buy a marriage between her and a Latin man, she developed a vaudeville act written by Carroll and Pugh that they performed at Newburgh's New York Historic Ritz Theater with Arnaz's orchestra. The act was such a hit, it convinced CBS executive Harry Ackerman that a Ball-Arnaz pairing would be a worthwhile adventure, and so they ended up doing it, and it debuted here in 1951. So there you go.
Yay!
Sometimes you got to do that.
Yeah.
It had a happy ending. Very good.
And Philip Morris was a sponsor.
Of what?
Of the show.
Oh, the show, yeah.
Yep. You like cigarettes, Wolf?
Oh, I hate them.
Oh. Okay.
They give you the black tar lung.
Yes.
Yes.
You never did.
And they
smoke,
make your
did you?
mouth smell like poopy.
Yes.
And now that brings us, Zwölf, are you ready for a horrible, awful murder?
Oh.
Oh, I
now-
love the murders.
It's now Amy's turn to tell an awful, gruesome, horrible murder filled with
But it
lots
turns
and
out
lots of rape.
Okay.
Turns out okay, though, right?
It might turn
All
out okay.
happy? Happy ending?
Might
I
be an
was
alien.
like, I had to like do some reaching this week
Reaching.
a little bit.
Oh, we Germans know about the reaching
So
around.
this is happening in England or Great Britain.
In Great Britain, which is close to Germany.
Yes.
Anybody need a,
Yeah.
Does anybody need a break?
Pretty close.
everybody good? Anybody need a break?
Yeah, I can take a little break.
Yeah. I'll
You want to take a break and get up and stretch?
I go get a sausage or something.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
The Nerd School Podcast.
I've brought 3 nerds here to help me be a real, true nerd. I love Marvel movies. I love superhero movies.
Nerds like nothing better than to be able to talk about their nerd shit. The people who are actually interested in the nerd shit.
And like I'd walk in the comic book store and I'd see them, they're playing Warhammer.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, Warhammer.
And I'm like sitting
I
there and
will
I'm
say some male nerds back in the day probably would not have let you walk into the arcade and hang out with
looking through
them.
the books and like I'm listening to these guys and like they're really into it. Like their whole life is this Warhammer game.
Yeah.
And I'm
All
like
the
sitting-
nerds that I ever like made fun of or picked on were all just laughing at me getting revenge. And I was just
But we didn't need to be around you male nerds to be nerds
connection
on
to
our own.
Germany.
If you're in a good
Connected
gaming group,
somehow.
they'll welcome
lost
new people.
them.
They'll-
Like I'm walking out of the comic store, like if
Yes,
someone going to
that's
see me
right.
saying like,
Maybe
oh,
we'll come
he's
back,
one of
who
those
knows?
guys.
But,
You know, those
are good
those
friends.
can't get a girl
Wolf.
kind
We
of
are
guys.
just vibes.
Wolf. 12 Hammer.
Yeah.
The Nerd School Podcast.
Yes.
You wanted. You're going to tell me something about a murder that didn't happen in America?
That's correct.
Because you're running out of stuff, or what's the?
There's
What's
a
the
little bit
cop-out
of
excuse?
there's a little cocktail of things going on here. So let's pick it apart.
All right. Pick apart your cocktail.
Yes, pick apart my cocktail.
All right.
So
That sounds dirty and sexy.
number one,
Yeah.
it's like harder and harder to find much of anything at all.
Yes,
Like-
it's hard to find something every month, but keep in
Especially
mind
in-
we don't have to. We can skip. We can do.
Yes,
if
I
you
know,
have- yeah,
and I
right.
know, yeah.
All right.
But you get to a point where
You've talked about every murder that there is.
yeah. So there's that, and then combine that with this is still the pandemic, and
This is a pandemic. We are in a pandemic.
We are in a pandemic, and I'm a teacher, and don't have a lot of free time. So
Yes, you're very busy trying
This-
to teach children in a pandemic,
that's right.
and
so
you spend a lot of time on your looks because you are great looking.
you're ridiculous.
You're always dolled up.
No.
You know, listeners at home, you guys have no idea how lucky I am. I'm married to not only this fun, beautiful fun, smart podcaster who's very entertaining and has a great voice,
Aw.
but she's also friggin' gorgeous. She's a knockout. She spends a
No.
lot of time dolling herself all up. She's into the retro thing, so she's always got some cute do. She comes home from work. She's exhausted and feels. She probably feels like she looks terrible, but she looks like a 10 every day.
You are just cute. Can I say
No,
everybody's barfing right now?
no, we're in love.
Everybody is barfing
No, it's
out the car door right now.
just let me tell the world how beautiful you are.
I mean, it's
Just take it. Take a compliment.
take it.
I mean, you put a lot of work into it, so you might as well get some compliments.
Jeez, make it sound like I got a boob job or something.
Well, it is a boob job.
I wish.
No, you don't need a boob job. Trust
Okay.
me.
Anyway,
And those things are fine the way
Stop
they
it.
are.
Knock it.
Going
Chill it out. All right. Being a fruit.
That's ridiculous. Okay.
Okay.
Now, back to your murder.
So I'm going to talk about John Thomas Straffen.
John Thomas Straffen.
Yes, he was a British serial killer who was the longest-serving prisoner in British legal history.
Wow.
He killed 2 young girls in the summer of 1951.
Oh.
He was found to be unfit to plead and committed to Broadmoor Hospital.
Wait, unfit to bleed?
Plead.
Plead. Oh,
Okay.
plead. Like,
Yeah, plead guilty
okay,
or
gotcha.
innocent or whatever.
Yeah, like insanity.
Yes, and he was committed to Broadmoor Hospital.
Oh.
During a brief
Bravo.
escape in 1952, he killed again.
Oh my gosh! He escaped the mental hospital and killed again?
Yes,
This
this
is
time he was
exciting.
convicted of murder.
Murder.
Due to his mental state, his sentence was commuted to life imprisonment, and he remained in prison until his death more than 50 years later. So I'm just going to give you a
Spoiler
little
alert, he's
bit-
dead.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a little pick it apart now. So
Let's
that's
pick it
kind of the
apart.
Summary.
That was good. that
And
was exciting. I
That
want
was
to know more.
awesome, and thank you, Wikipedia.
Oh, this is all from Wikipedia? This
Yes.
isn't somebody's article that you pilfered?
Nope, not today.
All right.
So,
Well, Wikipedia pilfers articles for us.
that's right, correct.
So kind of the jury's out because I noticed, like, if you really look at Wikipedia, they cite sources.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if we should really be citing all the sources that Wikipedia cites, but it's a lot
Nobody
easier.
gives a
And
fuck.
nobody's, I mean, if we get famous, then we'll have to, but we don't have to worry about it now.
If
'cause
we get
nobody
if we
cares.
get famous, okay,
I mean, not famous, but like money. If we start getting money.
right? We might have to get more.
Because then people would be like, hey, you're making money off of our work, you jerk, you didn't cite us. And we'd be like, oh, we're stupid, we don't know. And then we'd punch them in the
Right,
face,
right,
and they'd
right.
punch us
Okay.
in the face. Then
All
we'd
right,
punch each other in the
moving on.
balls. Okay, moving on.
So Straffen's father, John Sr.,
Okay.
was a soldier in the Army. He was the third child in the family. His
Okay.
older sister was regarded as a high-grade mental defective. That's a quote.
A high-grade mental defective, boy, that's not flattering.
And she died in 1952.
Oh, no.
Then Straffen was born in Hampshire, where his father was then based. But at the age of 2, his father was posted abroad, and the family spent 6 years in India.
Oh.
Returning to Britain in March 1938, Straffen's father took a discharge from the Army, and the family settled in Bath, Somerset.
Bath.
In October 1938, Straffen was referred to a child guidance clinic for stealing and truancy.
Okay.
In June 1939, he first came before a juvenile court for stealing a purse from a girl and was given 2 years probation.
Really?
His Hello?
Oh, we just got our internet back. The internet was out completely. That's how we lost Zwölf.
Okay. His probation officer found that Straffen did not understand the difference between right and wrong or the meaning of probation. Did you hear that?
He didn't know what probation meant or the difference between right and wrong.
That's right. The family was living in crowded lodgings at the time, and Straffen's mother had no time to help, so the probation officer took the boy to a psychiatrist. As a result, Straffen was certified as a mental defective under the Mental Deficiency Act of 1927.
Yikes. They didn't pull any punches back then, did they?
No.
Just
I mean, they would
mental
call people
defective.
like idiots and
Yeah,
stuff.
idiot, moron, imbecile, all that stuff, yeah.
A report was compiled on him in 1940, which gave his intelligence quotient as 58 and placed his mental age at 6. From June 1940, the local authority sent him to a residential school for mentally defective children, St. Joseph's School in Sanborn.
Oh, boy.
2 years later, Straffen moved to Bestford Court, a senior school. He was noted as a solitary boy who took correction very badly.
Uh-oh.
In one incident, when Straffen was 14, he was strongly suspected of being responsible for strangling 2 prize geese owned by one of the officers of the school.
Really?
However, no
Ugh.
proof was found, and it was not noted on his record.
Oh, okay.
At the age of 16, the school authorities undertook a review which found his IQ was 64 and his mental age 9 years, 6 months,
Oh.
and recommended his discharge.
Well, yeah, he's
all
making
better.
progress. He's 9 now. in the
Accor-
brain.
yeah. Accordingly, Straffen returned home to Bath in March 1946, where the medical officer of health examined him and found he still warranted certification under the Mental Deficiency Act. After several short-term jobs, he found a place as a machinist in a clothing factory. Early in 1947, Straffen began to go into unoccupied homes and steal small items to hide them.
Oh, really?
He never brought them home, nor did he give them to others. Straffen had no friends and began stealing without being enticed by others.
Oh.
Then, on July 27th, 1947...
Oh, the same day that Yogi Berra started his record 148-game errorless streak?
Yes.
That same day?
Yep. A 13-year-old girl reported to police that a boy called John had assaulted her by putting his hand over her mouth and saying, "What would you do if I killed you? I've done it before."
Ooh.
This incident was not connected to Straffen until later.
I like that you gave him a British accent. Has a pretty good,
Thanks.
a pretty good British accent.
6 weeks later, Straffen was found to have strangled 5 chickens belonging to the father of a girl with whom he had quarreled.
Oh, and you always said if it's a sign of they're hurting animals when they strangle those geese too, right? So.
Yes. When arrested, Straffen was also under suspicion for burglary, and in interview cheerfully confessed to it and many other incidents to which he had not been connected. He was remanded in custody, and the medical officer of Hortfield Prison examined him, certifying that he was mentally retarded.
Hortfield Prison.
On October 10th, Straffen was committed to Hortham Colony in Bristol under the Mental Deficiency Act of 1913.
Wait, he was committed the same day that Martin Austin Ruane, who was an English professional wrestler, was born. He was best known by the ring name Giant Haystacks, and he was one of the best known wrestlers on the British wrestling scene. We're talking about British. That's good. In the 70s and 80s, he also worked in both Canada and the U.S. under the names Loch Ness Monster, or simply Loch Ness. He's a big fat wrestler called Loch Ness.
All right.
He was born that day.
So he's there at this Hortham colony,
All right? Yeah.
Now, this was an open colony which specialized in training mentally, quote-unquote, mentally retarded offenders for resettlement in the community.
So it was like a city.
Yeah.
Of people with disabilities.
Yeah. As he had been under investigation for burglary, Straffen's certificate stated that he was not of violent or dangerous propensities. He was well behaved at Hortham and kept away from the other inmates. As a result, in July 1949, he was transferred to a lower security agricultural hostel in Winchester. There, he did well initially, but fell back into old ways when he stole a bag of walnuts and was sent back to Hortham in February 1950. In August 1950, Straffen got in trouble with Hortham authorities when he went home without leave and resisted the police when they went to recapture him. So then in 1951, Straffen was examined at a Bristol hospital where electroencephalograph readings showed that he had suffered...
Electroencephalographs readings.
Yes.
Okay.
Showed that he had suffered wide and severe damage to the cerebral cortex, probably from an attack of encephalitis in India before the age of 6.
Oh, really? So that's what caused it.
That
huh?
TBI kind of stuff happening again.
We know how that goes.
By now, however, Straffen was considered sufficiently rehabilitated to be allowed a period of unescorted home leave.
Okay.
He used the time to get a job at a market garden, which he was allowed to keep. Hortham licensed him to the care of his mother, as the family home was less overcrowded. When Straffen's 21st birthday came, under the Mental Deficiency Act, he had to be reassessed by Hortham, who continued his certificate for a further 5 years. The family dispute the assessment and appealed. As a result, the medical officer of Heath and Bath examined Straffen again on July 10th, 1951.
Oh, examined on the same day that MGM's Technicolor film version of Showboat, starring Katherine Grayson, Ava Gardner, and Howard Keel, premiered at Radio City Music Hall in New York City?
Yes, and they found improvement in mental age to 10. Now, he says
he's up to 10.
Up to 10. He recommended that Straffen's certificate be renewed only for 6 months with a view to discharge at the end.
Well, just so you know, Showboat brought overnight fame to bass baritone William Warfield singing Old Man River. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
How did that go?
I
can't remember.
No. I don't think I would sing it if I did.
Okay.
Okay. So
Old Man
now let's get into the murders.
All right.
According
Let's
to
get into it.
Letitia Fairfield, in the introduction to the Notable British Trials series volume about Straffen,
Oh, my gosh.
Straffen had a smoldering hatred and an intense resentment of the police and blamed them for all his troubles from the age of 8. On the morning of Straffen's assessment, a young girl named Christine Butcher was murdered.
Oh, no.
Fairfield speculates that Straffen saw the press coverage that followed and made the connection that strangling young girls gave the maximum amount of trouble to the police. So that was his motive.
Oh, boy.
So then
He hated
on
the police.
July 15th, 1951...
Oh, the same day that Jesse the Body Ventura was born? We talked about that in a previous
we did
episode.
talk about that. Straffen went on he went on a visit to the cinema on his own.
Oh.
His route took him past 1 Camden Crescent in Bath,
Uh-oh.
where 5-year-old Brenda Goddard
Oh, no.
lived with her foster parents.
Oh, this isn't going to end well.
According to Straffen's later statement
Something
to the police,
tells me this isn't going to end well.
he saw her gathering flowers and offered to show her a better place. After lifting her over a fence into a copse, he strangled her and when she did not scream, bashed her head against a stone.
Oh my gosh,
Sorry.
that's violent.
After killing Brenda Goddard, Straffen did not make any attempt to hide the body.
Sort of ruins
Simply
Jesse
went on
Ventura's
to the
birth
cinema.
for me.
He does.
He went on to the movie afterwards? Gosh.
And returned home.
Boy, there's something wrong with if you can just bash someone's head in, a child's head in, and then go see a movie.
I know it.
It would ruin the movie for me.
Yes. Okay. Although Bath police had not suspected Straffen was violent, he was considered a suspect in the murder and was seen by police on August 3rd.
Oh, he was seen by police on August 3rd, the same day that Andrew Gold was born, who sings, "Thank you for being a friend."
Okay. Meanwhile,
travel down the road and back again.
Okay. Meanwhile, the police had visited Straffen's employer to check on his movements.
Okay.
This resulted in Straffen being dismissed on July 31st.
Oh, dismissed the same day that Australian tennis champ Yvonne Goolagong was born.
Yes.
That day? Now, but I'm giving context to our listeners who are huge Yvonne Goolagong fans.
In a later interview with a prison psychiatrist, Straffen said that he knew he was under suspicion and wanted to annoy the police because he hated them for shadowing him.
I freaking hated him.
On August 8th, Straffen was again at the cinema.
Wait, he was at a cinema again the same day that the Bill Gwynn show was on ABC, a game show in which married couples act out an event from their lives which occurred due to a popular song?
Yes.
That same day?
He went to the cinema when he met 9-year-old Cecily Batstone.
Gosh, come on.
He first took Cecily to a different cinema to see another film, and then went on the bus to a meadow on the outskirts of Bath. There he strangled her to death.
Never go to a meadow alone with a serial killer.
The circumstances of the murder left many witnesses who had seen Straffen with the girl.
Yep.
The bus conductor recognized Straffen as a former workmate.
No.
A courting couple in the meadow had seen Straffen very closely. And
a courting couple means a couple that was banging each other.
And a policeman's wife had also seen the two together.
Uh-oh.
She mentioned it to her husband. When the alarm was raised the next morning, she guided police to where she had seen the two, and the body of Cecily Batstone was discovered.
Oh, good. Well, not good, but
her
good,
description of the man was enough to immediately identify Straffen as the suspect.
Uh-oh, now they got him.
So according to the...
Now they got him, and there will be no more murders.
Accordingly, the police drove to Straffen's home and arrested him for the murder of Cecily Batstone on the morning of August 9th.
Oh, they arrested him the same day that the crime photographer was on CBS, starring Darren McGavin. The Morning Express photographer hangs out at New York's Blue Note Cafe and tells the bartender Ethelbert of his various exploits and adventures. The crime photographer was on?
Straffen made a statement admitting he had killed Cecily Batstone and also confessed to the murder of Brenda Goddard.
Oh.
The other girl, I did her the same, he said.
Ooh.
He was duly charged with murder and remanded in custody after a 2-day hearing at Bath Magistrates Court. Straffen was committed for trial for the murder of Brenda Goddard at Taunton Aziz Court.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, that court.
On
very
October
famous.
17th, 1951.
Oh, that's the day we're on right now, and the same day that The Egg and I was on CBS. The Egg and I is a show about, on their wedding night, Bob reveals to Betty that he has purchased an abandoned chicken farm. And Betty struggles to adapt to their new rural lifestyle, especially when a glamorous neighbor seems to set her eyes on Bob, starring Claudette Colbert and Fred McMurray. Did you know that was a show called The Egg and I?
No, I did not. On that day, Straffen stood trial for murder before Mr. Justice Oliver. However, the only witness to be heard was Dr. Peter Parks, medical officer.
Peter Parker? Spider-Man?
No, Peter Parks, medical officer at Horfield Prison, who testified to Straffen's medical history and stated his conclusion that Straffen was unfit to plead. Oliver commented that in this country, we do not try people who are insane. You might as well try a baby in arms. If a man cannot understand what's going on, he cannot be tried.
Right.
The jury formally returned a verdict that Straffen was insane and unfit to plead. So then he was removed to Broadmoor Institution in Berkshire.
Okay.
He had originally been termed
Berkshire?
a criminal. Had originally been a criminal lunatic asylum.
Ooh.
But by the Criminal Justice Act of 1948, responsibility for it had been transferred to the Ministry of Health, and those committed to it had been renamed patients.
Okay.
So
That's
inside
a little bit better.
Broadmoor, Straffen was given a job as a cleaner.
Okay.
So then on April 29th, 1952...
Oh, the same day that on CBS, CBS's lineup that night included Crime Syndicated, Suspense and Danger.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I'm in suspense and danger right now.
Oh, no. Suspense and Crime Syndicated, Suspense, and Danger. Those are the 3 shows for a thrilling night of gripping television.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm an idiot. I said that wrong.
That's okay.
It is? Great. Marriage continues. And
yes,
podcast
on that day,
continues.
Straffen went with an attendant and another patient to clean some outbuildings which were close by the 10-foot-tall external wall.
Well, that was nice. I'm sure this will end well.
In a small yard immediately adjacent to the wall was a low shed with a sloping roof, which was 8.5 feet high at its highest point.
Every time they have a low shed with a sloping roof, nothing good comes of it.
In the yard were empty disinfectant tins.
Oh, no, not empty disinfectant tins. This always ends terribly.
Stratton asked his supervisor if he could shake his duster, and on receiving permission, went into the yard.
Go ahead, shake your duster.
Once the other patient had gone back in, Straffen climbed on the roof and jumped over the wall.
Uh-oh.
He had already made sure that he had his civilian clothes underneath his work clothes.
Ah, smart. He was thinking ahead.
Only 20
minutes.
minutes.
Doesn't sound like somebody who doesn't function to me.
I know. Only 20 minutes after escaping, Straffen came up to a private drive in Crowthorne and approached Mrs. Doris Spencer, who was in her garden.
Oh, no, Doris Spencer, stay out of your garden. I've told you 100 times.
He asked her for a drink of water, which she gave him.
Oh, never give him a drink of water, Doris Spencer.
And then discussed the proximity of Broadmoor and the likelihood of escapees.
Oh, no.
After 10 minutes, he left.
Oh, okay, good. All done. End of story.
An hour and a half later, he reached Farley Hill. And at about 5 o'clock, Straffen came to the point where 5-year-old Linda Boyer was riding her bicycle around the village.
No.
Within half an hour, Linda Boyer was dead. Straffen then begged a cup of tea from another householder, Mrs. Kenyon, who agreed to
probably just happily obliged.
She agreed to drive him to the bus stop. As they were drawing up to the stop, Straffen saw some men in uniform and asked whether they were police. On learning they were, he swiftly got out of the car and ran away. Kenyon told the men, who were actually Broadmoor nurses, of the suspicious behavior of her passenger, and Straffen was recaptured a few minutes later.
Oh, they got him.
Yep. Driven in the car on the journey back to Broadmoor, Straffen said, "I have finished with crime. The body of Linda Boyer was found at dawn the next day." So basically, then they do a police investigation.
Okay.
And there's a murder trial. And
even though it's obvious.
Right. And he gets the death sentence. But then he was reprieved at the end. And so then he was moved to Wandsworth Prison in November 1952. In 1956, he was moved to Horfield Prison in Bristol. Then he just gets all moved around. He has a long prison term, blah, blah, blah. And then he died at Franklin Prison in County Durham on November 19th, 2007. He was 77 years old and had been in prison for a British record of 55 years.
Well, he died the same time that Jenny Garth and Marie Osmond dance off to see who will make it to the next round of Dancing with the Stars?
Yep. And this leaves Moore's murderer, Ian Brady, who has been in prison since October 1965 and is now in a mental hospital as the longest-serving prisoner in Britain.
Well, I'm a little upset because you skimmed over a date that I really... out of all those dates, I just want to share one thing.
What was it?
And it was May 1st in 1952. I'm not sure what you had that happened that day.
Right.
But there was a show called Racket Squad on CBS. And the series dramatizes confidence games, which fall under the jurisdiction of Captain John Braddock. So I quickly did a Google search for confidence games because, language is different back then.
Right.
And you know how, you can ask a question to Google and it'll give you a paragraph answer, the most common answer. Mm-hmm. So the paragraph answer on Google for what a confidence game is, it actually said word for word this paragraph I'm going to read.
Okay.
A confidence trick is also known as a con game, a con, a scam, a grift, a hustle, a bunco, a swindle, a flim-flam, a gaffle, or a bamboozle. And then it says the intended victims are known as marks, suckers, stooges, mugs, rubes, or gulls. Those two sentences are in Google when you ask what a confidence game is.
So con is short for confidence. I never knew that.
It's a con game. It's a con game, but it's just funny how it's worded. Somebody worded it. A con game, a scam, a grift, a hustle, a bunco, a swindle, a flim-flam, a gaffle, a bamboozle. And those are just fun things to say.
Yep, they sure are.
The victims are Mark, Sucker, Stooges, Mugs, Rubes, or Gulls. A gull is short for gullible. You're a gull. You're such a gull.
Oh, God, I never knew that one either.
No, I love...
Say the last ones again.
The intended victims of a scam, grift, hustle, bunko, swindle, or flim flam, or gaffle, or bamboozle are known as marks. You're looking for a mark. You're looking for a sucker, a stooge, a mug, a rube, or a gull. Short for gullible. That's who you're looking for.
Yep.
See? Well, that's awesome. And then that brings the very next day. That happened October 17th, 1951. The very next day, Thelma and Eugene Dauber, Eugene Dauber was a commercial artist. Thelma and Eugene welcomed their first of 2 daughters in Detroit, Michigan.
Oh.
Their daughter, Pam Dauber, was born.
God.
You know who that is?
Yes, I do.
She went to Reed Elementary School in Goodrich and attended North Farmington High School.
Mm-hmm.
Notable alumni of North Farmington High School, Elizabeth Berkley from Saved by the Bell, and Larry Nasser.
Well, tell people what
famed
Pam
child
Dauber is
molester.
from.
Pam Dauber is Pam Dauber's birthday, everybody. Let's cue the music. And then
Amy hates birthdays. Amy hates birthdays.
you know who Pam Dauber is?
I do.
What?
She was Mindy.
Mindy and Mork and Mindy.
Yeah.
Yes, the greatest actress in American history. Do you know, how about a little trivia for Pam Dauber? You're not going to know this.
Okay, let me sock it to me, baby.
Who's Pam Dauber married to?
Oh, Mark Harmon.
Yes. Holy
Ha!
shit.
Boom.
How did you know that?
Boom.
I recently discovered that, and I couldn't believe. I was so shocked. That number one, I thought she died because that my sister
she
said
died?
she was murdered. I thought
No, that's
this
not
is the
same.
butterfly effect. She was murdered. She was on My Sister Sam, and she was murdered.
No. The other girl.
The other girl was murdered. Okay, I thought she was murdered. Turns out, not only she's not murdered, she's living the high life because she's married to Mark Harmon, heartthrob Mark Harmon. I got a boner when I read that because I couldn't believe, number one, she was alive and she's married to Mark Harmon. Okay, I have one. This is the sad thing that I think is probably good that Dr. Zwölf wasn't here for, because this isn't funny. This is a horrible racist incident. Saturday, October 20th, 1951, the Johnny Bright incident happened. Are you familiar with that?
No.
It's a violent on-field assault against African-American football player Johnny Bright by a white opposing player during an American college football game on October 20th in Stillwater, Oklahoma, between the Drake Bulldogs and the Oklahoma A&M Aggies. I didn't know this existed either. But Bright's injury highlighted the racial tensions of the times and assumed notoriety when it was captured in what was later to become both a widely disseminated and eventually Pulitzer Prize winning photo sequence. So they got this series of photos showing this football player hitting this guy late when he's not even part of the play and broke his jaw. And hit him on purpose in the jaw.
Oh, my God.
So Johnny Bright, he was a halfback / quarterback in the game, and his participation in the game at Lewis Field was controversial even before it had began, because people already knew who Bright was. He was the first African-American football player to play at Lewis Field 2 years prior. There was no incident then. But it was controversial because it was an open secret that Oklahoma A&M players were targeting Bright. Both Oklahoma A&M student newspaper, the Daily O-Collegian, and the local newspaper, the News Press, reported that Bright was a marked man. And several A&M students were openly
jealous,
claiming that Bright would not be around at the end of the game. They're going to try to hurt him. Although Oklahoma A&M had integrated in 1949, the Jim Crow spirit was still very much alive on campus. And they couldn't handle this unbelievable athlete was going to dominate. So he was a preseason Heisman Trophy candidate. He led the nation in total offense. Coming into the contest, Drake, the team he played for, carried a 5-game winning streak, owing much of their success to his rushing and passing abilities. During the first 7 minutes of the game, Bright was knocked unconscious 3 times by blows from Oklahoma A&M defensive tackle Wilbanks Smith. While Smith's final elbow blow broke Bright's jaw, he was still able to complete a 61-yard touchdown pass to Drake halfback Jim Pilkington a few plays later. That's unbelievable. He's got broken jaw, and he completed a pass.
Oh, my God.
Soon after, the injury forced him to leave the game, and he finished the game with
Got a broken
Yeah,
jaw,
broken
and you're
jaw.
still playing.
Less than 100 yards. Several spectators were interviewed afterwards, saying several people reported they heard the Oklahoma A&M coach repeatedly say "get that N-word" whenever.
No.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's awful.
He would say that whenever the practice squad during practices, when the practice squad, because on a practice, when you practice for a game, you have a practice squad that pretends to be the other team, so you can practice their plays and everything.
Oh,
So
right.
throughout those practices, several people heard the coach saying "get that N-word," talking about people pretending to be him. They also recounted several times a businessman and his wife who were seated behind the Oklahoma A&M practice players, and one of them turned around and said, "We're going to get that N-word," stuff like that. So, but this photographic sequence that won the Pulitzer Prize, it was a 6-photograph sequence of the incident captured by Des Moines Register cameraman John Robinson and Don Ultang, and it clearly showed Smith's jaw-breaking blow, and that it was thrown well after Bright had handed the ball off to Drake fullback Gene Maycumber. It was well behind the play. So you can look up this. There's like
What's it called?
6 photographs. It's called the Johnny Bright incident. And you can see the pictures. And you can see him. He hands off the ball, and he's just standing there because he's not in the play anymore. And you see this guy come at him and break his jaw. So Robinson and Utang, who took the picture, they had set up a camera focusing on Bright before the game after the rumors of him being targeted became too loud to ignore. And they rushed the film to Des Moines as soon as Bright was knocked out of the game. So because it took that long to develop film back then, that it happened early in the game. They had to take it and rush it to get it developed in time to be in the papers and stuff, I guess. So
I can't really tell when I'm looking at it.
you got to open it up big. That's not.
What's he doing to his face?
He's elbowing him right in the jaw, breaking his
jeez.
jaw. They didn't wear cages. They didn't have face masks then. Anyway, so Amy just looked at it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that sequence won that Pulitzer Prize and made it to the November 5th, 1951 issue of Life.
Well, that's sad.
Oklahoma A&M's president Oliver Willem denied anything happened, even after the evidence of the incident was published nationwide. Cover-up began.
He denied it.
It lasted over half a century.
You'll probably find people
they'd
still
always
would
say no comment. Well, actually, when they talked to, but the incident did provoke changes in NCAA football rules regarding illegal blocking and mandated the use of more protective helmets. That's when they got face guards because of this. So it kind of caused the people to be safer because of this. But when you asked Johnny Bright about it later, he just feels null and void about Smith, and he said, this thing has been a great influence on my life. My total philosophy of life now is that whatever a person's bias and limitation, they deserve respect. Everyone's entitled to their own beliefs. Wilbank Smith received over 1,000 letters regarding the incident. Most of the mail was hate mail or death threats, but some was congratulatory and thankful. Smith maintained that he was not racist and the hit was not a racial incident, and that he had landed the same hit on a white player earlier in the game. He never apologized for the incident, but said in 2012 that he was glad the incident had helped to integrate college football, saying it took me a long time before I could smile about it, but now I can. I think it was a tool civil rights organizations used, and it was very effective. Smith died on January 14th, 2020 at the age of 89.
Wow.
Yep. All right, and then on Friday, October 26th, in 1951, in Cincinnati, Ohio, Phelps Catfish Collins' little brother was born.
Who is that?
Phelps Catfish Collins is a cool name, right? His little brother was born, and they would both go on to be part of James Brown's backing band, the Pacemakers.
Oh,
And Andy, who this is? Phelps Catfish Collins' little brother? Phelps Catfish Collins' little brother said that his mother named him Bootsy. He said, I asked her why. He explained to a journalist, and she just said, because you look like a Bootsy. I left it at that. Bootsy Collins was born. Bootsy Collins.
Yeah.
And then
I don't know why that didn't register.
that same day, Rocky Marciano defeated Joe Louis at Madison Square Garden in New York. And then on October 30th in Pasadena, California, socialite Bernice Robison and aeronautical engineer Chauncey Jerome Hamlin Jr. welcomed a son into the world.
Harry Hamlin?
Yes, Harry Hamlin. As a teenager, Harry Hamlin attended Flint Ridge Prep School near Pasadena, the same school that Haley Joel Osment went to. And then later he went to the Hill School, a private boarding school in Pottstown, Pennsylvania, where he played soccer and lacrosse and acted in the school's musicals and plays. Notable alumni that went to Pottstown, Pennsylvania school, the Hill School, Mitchell Froome, Morton Federolf, Devereaux Milburn, Lionel Pincus, William Irvin Swoop, Irving Price Wanger, Richard Yingling Sr., David...
Can I interrupt you?
Yeah?
What are we doing? What are we doing right now?
David
What is
Vogel
this?
Uihlein Sr.,
Wait a minute.
the heir to the
Stop.
Schlitz Brewing Company, went to the same school. Plus, Oliver Stone and Trump's Stupid Shitty Kids went to that same school. All the same school as Harry Hamlin.
Okay.
Mitchell Froome was a record producer and musician. Morton Federoff was a state senator. Devereaux Milburn was a Big Four polo player. Lionel Pincus was co-founder of Warburg Pincus. William Irvin Swoop was a congressman.
God,
And
fast forward.
Irving Price Wanger was a congressman. Those are just names I wanted to say.
Okay.
I just want to say all those names.
You're very self-indulgent.
And Richard Yingling Sr. has made the Yingling, the beer.
I love you, but you're very self-indulgent.
You love me, but I'm very self-indulgent. I was trying to get Zwölf. This was all for Zwölf Hammersteins. I wanted his reaction to all these names.
Darn it. Stupid internet.
Maybe I'll try to get him back and just say those names at him.
At the very end.
What do all these guys have in common? They went to school with Harry Hamlin. But that's all the time we have for this episode of American Timelines by History for Jerks.
That's right. Everybody, thank you for listening if you did.
Let Dale the fuck
Time
through.
to get out of here, Chuck Berry.
Oh, yeah. American Timelines by History for Jerks, the greatest podcast ever.
Baby, you could have money. Flying around the world, move to the country. Yeah, 'cause if another girl, she gonna have your baby. Yeah, 'cause something after the show, she gonna drive you crazy. Yeah, baby, but you never know. Gotta work my 9 to 5. Yeah, everybody's got to do the thing to survive. It's a lie. Gonna keep on telling you lies. They just keep on spreading the lies. All the lies, all the lies, all the lies.
American Timelines is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Find out more at queencitypodcastnetwork.com.
Wolf, I need to ask you questions, Wolf.
Oh, you go fire away.
What do these names have in common?
The disease names?
Mitchell Froome,
Mm-hmm.
Morton Federolf,
Mm-hmm.
Devereaux Milburn,
Mm-hmm.
Lionel Pincus,
Oh, I've heard that name.
William Irvin Swoop, Irving Price Wanger, Richard Yingling Sr., David Vogel Uihlein, and Oliver Stone.
Like Oliver Stone, like the director?
Yep.
I've heard of Pincus before.
Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. What do all those people have in common?
They have very, very tiny penises.
Maybe, but they also went to the same school as Harry Hamlin.
Oh, of course. That was my second guess.